Yo, what is going on, everybody on the YouTube? Keep it being family. It is your host, always gonna eat. And y'all already know, man. It's Keep It Being podcast. Not only do we talk hats, do we talk sneakers in here, we also love to bring on Sundays a very special guest. And when we bring on these guests, we like to give y'all nice little interview, if you will. And so you guys can get to understand and be in the loop and learn about these people's journeys. Today's episode, it's a very special one because this person has definitely I wanna use like I wanna be like Ti right now and use very intricate words for this person, but I mean I let you know, man. The community would not be a community without this person alongside PBJs and the Leons and everything. This person has definitely been doing things for the community since before the community was a community. Uh, Without any further ado, I mean, let's bring up Mr. The Cat Wonder, Mr. Pierre. How you doing today, brother?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, man. Welcome to the Keep It Being podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on here before uh watching your Giants. You're like you
No, no,
taking
no,
out
not
you take
not
you
the Giants, not the Giants, the Patriots.
I had to troll. I had to troll. I had to troll. You know, I'm a Giants fan over here. But yeah,
Yeah,
man.
well,
Yeah, nah, you guys are having a way better season than we are for sure. You know?
oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. That is
I
definitely,
mean, I think Drake May is the truth, man. He's the truth for
yeah, he's the
sure.
real deal. So we'll see if
I,
he's a good heir apparent to Tom Brady, that's for sure. But we will see. So,
he's not no Tom Brady, but yeah, but
mm,
yeah. Brother, I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna start it off right away. For the people that do tune in and that may not know who Pierre is, Mr. The Cap Wonder, give us a little bit of who Pierre is, where your fitted journey started, and yeah,
yeah, well, listen, I've been in the hats, a long time. So a little bit about like what got me into it was my dad. So my dad was a truck driver. He'd go
mm,
different places across the country, and he wasn't a materialistic guy. But the one thing he had was he had hats. Like that was my dad's thing. He just had a
yeah,
collection of hats. So growing up early on, I was kind of introduced to that space. You go different places, bring back hats, and he had bins and bins of hats. So that's kind of like where it started.
yeah.
Um,
You
but I
guys
came
would
from like
collect any specific ones?
no, you just places he went, you would just pick up a hat.
Yeah,
It's just he did have some regular new era fitteds later on, like Cincinnati Reds. I remember having a Cincinnati Reds hat. He
yeah.
wasn't really a sports fan at that point, though. He became a sports fan later on, but he was he really did that just to kind of connect with me. But in general, it was just like a thing. He just liked having hats. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean I can relate. I drive trucks myself, and so that's like kind of like the thing. You go to the city, I like to get wherever city I'm at. That's why I asked, do you guys collect? Did he collect anything in particular? Because if I go to a different city or something, I like to grab like either that city's team and or minor league. There's sometimes even hockey.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So I want you to take us back to 2018. Because
Okay.
I had to do my research. Take us back to 2018, and what made you start posting just hats before it was even a thing?
Well, I think what started it was my kids had lost their mother, so I took them on a baseball trip across the Northeast. So we went to like the Orioles, the Red Sox. We went to every stadium, as far south as Baltimore, up through the New York stadiums.
Yeah,
And I was collecting hats, but my daughter suggested, hey, you should post some of these and do it, have like an
yeah.
Instagram account for these. So I did. She came up with my first name, which was Captain America. So that was my
Captain
first one.
America. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that was my first Instagram name. Later on, I had to change it because for IP reasons. Because I the account was getting bigger. I was getting a little worried about maybe Disney saying something, so I changed the name,
Yeah.
The Capped Wonder.
Yeah. The
But
Captain
that's
Wonder.
kind of where it started. It was just a baseball trip, and my daughter suggested I do that, and it was
Yeah.
as simple as that. But people were at that time, people weren't really posting it like that. Like
Yeah,
you'd see that in
exactly.
the
That's what I'm
sneaker world.
saying. How'd you even figure that it would become like a thing? Like, because there was no type of audience in 2018 for like people posting hats, like the to the to the where you brought it to later
There
on.
were people doing it, but they were doing it like real sloppily. So like they'd be taking pictures on their bed, on their dirty floors, and so it was like
Hmm.
it just wasn't cool looking. Like in the sneaker world, you would see people posting stuff and it looked really cool, and kind of fashion centric, and this stuff was just really sloppy. So
Yeah.
and I'm kind of a neat freak, so the way I do things is usually pretty neat.
Yeah.
I just found different ways to take pictures of the hats. I had a coffee table I did it on for a while that people knew, like if you saw that coffee table, it was a picture that I did. But people
Yeah.
were doing it. I mean, there was Facebook groups that were doing that, for quite a while, but it just wasn't as polished.
Yeah. That's another one that I want to ask you about, because I know you guys had two Facebook groups that it was like really you guys. But before we get to that part, did you ever think that the fitted community would grow to what it is today? Like from
No,
when
I
you
think
started
like
posting?
no, because I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it for likes or anything like that. I was just doing it, right? But
Yeah.
the community was rather big. It was just different. It was more like these were more like hardcore collectors. They weren't going away. They were there for the long haul.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what really triggered the growth was the pink bottom. So
Yeah.
you know,
And I want to
there's a lot
ask
of
you, like, what was it like in earlier in the community? That's also a follow-up question to that.
well,
Like, what
I'll
was it
start
like?
in the fitting community before. It was a lot more like friendly. So people would help each other sort of find hats. It was much more friendly. It wasn't. It got a lot more contentious as it went on, as ego
Yeah.
started to take hold. But it was a much more like friendly sort of atmosphere. It was healthier, I'd say.
Yeah.
But you know, you'd be showing your hats, and people would be like, "Where'd you get it?" And some people would help other people get it. No tax. People weren't taxing each other back then. You
Yeah.
know, it was like whatever it cost to get the hat plus the shipping they would do. Then it turned into like a resale business, which it's
Yeah. I
important
think
for some of these cultures to have a resale business, but at the same point, it
it's
wasn't the
to an
same as what it
extent,
was prior
once
to.
it becomes a bit abusive on like when you're taking advantage of it because of your name and the type of connections you got, that's when it becomes a little more like, you're not really caring for the community, right? Um, but
Yeah,
what
yeah. So
but like on
it was a
those
little bit different back then.
yeah, and then so back then as well, it was a lot. I feel like it was a lot more different because people used to use a lot of Facebook Marketplace. So I want you to touch on fitted groups that was like Fitted Hat Society, and you had also Team Fitted, which I actually met somebody from Team Fitted, and it was just hilarious because he's a truck driver. And he was like, "Yeah, he told me all about it," and I was like, "Bruh, how long you been collecting?"
Or you're talking about Kelly or Kelly?
Buzzy B, actually, I met
Yeah,
Buzzy
yeah.
B.
His name's Kelly. Yes, I know who he
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my guy. So I used to work in the Pro Image in Lehigh. Well, I'm technically still on there. He usually just brings me on for like holidays and stuff like that. But every
Yeah.
time he would come through, we chop it up, and I'm talking about he's in the store for like a good hour or so, and we talking about all different hats from different states that he picks up, and like he showed me all the
Hmm.
clink room stuff and everything. I was like, dude, your collection gotta be insane, man. Nah, cool dude,
Yeah, I
cool
think
dude. But yeah, I want you to
he
touch
sold
on
a
that.
lot of it. He sold a lot of it off, but yeah, but um, no, the Team Fitted was more when Team Fitted was more exclusive back in the day. Like you had to be invited into there and vouched
Yeah.
for by somebody.
Mm,
And then they opened the floodgates a little bit, but that used to be a group that only had a couple hundred people in it, and you could only get in if someone else allowed you in. It was
yeah.
very guarded. Fitted Hat Society was a bigger group. That thing was pretty big. Um, I had a falling out with that group, but when I got there, that group was doing okay, but it was a sloppy mess, just like
Yeah.
most of the stuff was out there. So I spent a lot of time helping that group create rules and some standards around what they were doing.
Yeah.
Contributed daily, created a lot of fun activities for the group. Um, you know, it was a good time, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
How you feel like that helped shape to what the community is today? Because a lot of people actually came from the Facebook groups into Instagram.
Well, I think the Facebook groups are far more negative, and
Mm,
a lot of the people in some of these Facebook groups don't even buy stuff. They're just in there for talk or some positive,
yeah.
but some people are also there to stir the pot. I think it's a
Yeah.
different sort of those are a little wilder, those Facebook groups, because you can just anybody can write anything anywhere. They can post anything they want. It's like it's a little bit less regulated, but they're still important. I mean, they're still important for culture.
Yeah.
And there's different
Oh, you kind of cut out on me. You. I don't know if you guys can hear me, see me. I don't know what just happened. Mm, Are we back? Are we
Yeah,
back?
this is gonna be
Yeah.
tough because there's a lot of snow out here, so the internet's been acting really funny.
Oh, oh yeah. No, I feel you. I just finished shoveling at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, but
Mhm.
our following question was gonna be who were some people that inspired you or pushed you or helped you push the culture forward aside from your the main guys PBJ and Leon.
Uh, it really wasn't.
Hmm.
It really wasn't.
Those are
Like in terms of helping
those.
push the culture forward. Like I was
Yeah.
doing my own thing, but like I think like John Jay, I know people that were important out there were like John Jay was important for my fitteds. Um, he was someone that was instrumental, but these weren't people that were pushing me to do anything. I was
Yeah.
I was kind of the pace setter. So,
Yeah,
listen,
for
I think
sure.
at the end of the day, I needed great people around me for
Yeah.
content, but no one was like, "Hey Pierre, you should do this," or "Hey Pierre, you should do that." Like it was kind of my own thing. But I think most people didn't even know who these people were. They didn't even know who they were until I started interviewing people and shining a light on some of these small business owners because I felt like people were going to be more inclined to buy some of these things and to support some of these businesses if they knew the people behind it. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's not coming from a place of arrogance. I just never needed someone to tell me, "Hey, you should do this or you should do that." I I
Yeah,
I
no,
marched to the beat of my own drum.
I don't
You
think I
know.
don't think that it is really much arrogance when like that when the truth is there. You get what I'm saying? And I did want to ask you on the vlogs and the live streams that you used to do. So like in 2020, that's really when views from the vault became the thing. The early vlog days, like you used to go into stores and everything, and like you used to do also even on Instagram. For those that don't know and been you guys like Pierre's work. Pierre used to do Tap In Tuesday where you would just come in there, you show like basically like what today they call Milko Monday. You used to have people come on there, show the different stuff, what they may have coming. Sometimes some designers will show up there, you know. So yeah,
Mhm.
I did want to ask you like back in 2020, like the vlogs and everything and views from the vault. What made you really start that? Like, I know you say you wanted to shine some light on some of these people because people will be more enticed to buy from them. But
Yeah.
aside from that, like, did you start seeing like more potential in the community?
Yeah, but let me do this. Let me we're jumping around a little bit. Let me summarize where we're at, right? So basically, I had the hat collection. I started the Instagram. I was an admin and kind of helping FHS, the Fitted Hat Society, along. I was in Team Fitted. So in those areas, I was learning a little bit more about like the community and the culture on top of what I already knew, right? So
Yeah.
as we moved forward, this is just my part-time. This wasn't a job. This was just, I was doing this for fun. So I had a full-time job raising 2 kids by myself and kind of doing this stuff. So we're at the point now as the culture's starting to switch though. Now we're talking about, all right, it was real hardcore collectors. People are really into this for many years. And then it started to become more of a fashion thing and a hype thing. And what triggered that, and I just want to make sure I'm summarizing this so people understand where we're at now. So the pink bottom came into play. And I was reached out to by Richard Jenick from Hat Club. And I was one of their best customers. And he had asked me, hey, Pierre, I've got these pink bottoms. I'd love it if you were to show them. So I was like, I don't know about these things. But then I started to warm up to him a little bit. And these were just team color hats with pink bottoms on them. They were nothing revolutionary other than it had a pink bottom. So I then presented those on in the Facebook groups, on my Instagram and whatnot. And I was getting destroyed. People were like, oh, put your pink panties away. Like, you know, they're calling me all kinds of like, homophobic slurs and whatnot because I was showing pink bottoms. But it was also starting to capture the attention of a lot of people outside of the people that were ridiculing them. They started to get more popular. Now, they were already popular in that very small community that NoHo had at the time. It was getting popular. However, it wasn't mainstream yet until I showed these things, you know, on Facebook and on my Instagram. Then it started to catch a lot of steam. There was a collection called Red Velvet. Red Velvet, these were basically like, and I showed them on Facebook and on Instagram, and the posts just went nuts. People were like, oh my God, I need to have these, blah, 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 blah. And that's where it really took off. So that's when things switched from just like everyday hat guys into like everyday hat guys, but also now hype. And it became, and after that, it just took off.
They started looking for that new thing.
Yeah. But also COVID was right around the corner. So we're going into this space where it's getting more and more popular, more and more popular. Then COVID occurs and things blow up because people have nothing else to do other than buy hats and consume hat content. So that was the perfect time for me to start Views in the Vault with Leon. So Views in the Vault was spawned at that point because I kind of saw where the culture was going. It was going to a place where we could do something special that was much like the sneaker world, but in the hat world. So Views in the Vault became a show where, you know, we showed off drops from different stores. We recapped the week. We did all kinds of cool stuff on that show. But most importantly, we started showcasing some of these small business owners. And I think the importance of this was twofold. Number one was we can kind of show off these folks that own these stores that people would like to support, such as the John Jays, Justin, who people did know, but it wasn't known it wasn't known the same way until there was this bright light shined on him. And remember, this is back when Hat Club had relatively no followers on their Instagram. I mean, they got what, 750,000 or something. They did not have nearly that at the time. So and the other part, the second part that made it important was the cultural significance of hooks. So these stores couldn't really show off the hooks the way they wanted to. Views in the Vault became the place where you could show off hooks. So they would send me John Jay would send me a pack of hats that were hooked to Harry Potter. And then I would show the hooks on my show. He wasn't connected to it directly, but I can kind of show these hooks and the imagination and connection behind it. And honestly, without that element, these guys would have been in a lot of trouble because there was no possible way they could have, people would have even understood what those hats were. And they weren't really allowed to show it off.
Yeah, so, just because of legal reasons, right?
Right. So that's kind of the progression or the history of it kind of connects. Now, you know, there's been several iterations of the show, but the whole time it's been a cultural staple. I mean, you know, the show has got like, I don't know, 8-9 million views, and that's not short form views. Those are long form views. These are not short form videos. There were weeks where we would record and deliver probably 15 videos. So there'd be 2 times a day you'd get a different preview. And that's how my hat collection blew up from 4,000 to 16,000, is because people were just sending me hats. Please show this. Please show this. Please show this. Can you show this off? And it was like, it was nonstop. And honestly, that show made a lot of people besides me a lot of money. It didn't make me a lot of money, but it made a lot of other people a lot of money. That's for sure.
Yeah. Which is in the community, a lot of people think that you were like making all this crazy amount of money from just being able to show hats and all of that. And it's like, dude, literally, y'all know, like people already think that I'm making money off of this, and I'm like, dude, I make $0 from this. It's all, especially around that. Especially around that time when you're first starting, it's not like it, like, bro, it takes time to even get to a level where people are coming to you and offering you like an actual job for what you're doing, But
it's hard to get people who want to do that now because the game is different now.
Yeah.
So, and they're not going to send me hats anymore because of my position where I'm at now.
Yeah, most definitely. They know that you're not gonna be able to do the same way that you used to. So,
yeah, I'm also like listen. To be frank with you, I'm also a threat. So and I'll be honest with you. When I'm on the show, I'm completely honest. If I like something, I like something. If I don't, I don't. I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care. I don't care. I could care less if somebody likes me, other than the people I'm close to. However, I'm a threat.
Yeah. I mean, but you've worked your way to that. That's the thing. That's what I would like for a lot of people to really understand, and it's to give you your flowers, because I like to do those interviews, right? And it's one, to ask the questions so I can learn from it, because I'm never the smartest person. Two is also to give the flowers to those that have helped build something that we all enjoy. Because at the end of the day, like, all of this came from like seeing all these Instagram posts and watching all these vlogs and learning about, oh, for real, that's a damn, I can see watercolors. You get what I'm saying? So like, I really like to bring people here, not only to just interview and have like just something to post, but it's also for me to also learn from people like you. Like, I've had PBJ on here, I've had the Frosties and everything like that, and it's all to learn and to give y'all flowers for the things that y'all have brought to the community and built. Because in reality, you guys have built this. It wouldn't be in a community if it wasn't for the U's, the Leons, the PBJs, the My Fitteds. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people forget that there was a starting point. This didn't just.
Listen, man, I think like some of the people know, and they know the history of it, and then newer folks that came to the community, they don't know. Like, they don't know who I am, and I don't care if they know who I am, to be honest with you. But they don't. Nobody really. The ones that were here from the beginning, or the ones that take the time to learn the history behind it, they know. But there's some that just don't appreciate that kind of stuff. They just want to be here for what it is now. And I think that's. I feel like.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I feel like that bothers me because in the way that a lot of the newer people that don't really do their research, they come in and they see what other people have already done, and they're like, oh yeah, I can come in here and make money. And it's like, bro, you don't understand like how it all went. It's not like you just gonna go into somebody's store and be like, yeah, look, I know how to do these designs, and you gonna let me do whatever. That's not how it works, bro. A lot of the times it takes it's relationships, building that connection. And so
listen, I never asked anybody for an opportunity to do those things either. Like, I never went and reached out to anybody and said, hey, will you let me design a hat for you? They came to me. I never asked. I've never asked anybody to make a hat with them, ever. Ever.
But at the same time, they saw how much effort you put into doing their stuff, into like, because at the end of the day, they're being the creators, right? But you're taking time out of your day to go out there, buy these hats, because a lot of the times you were buying these hats. I guarantee, I can probably speak for you and say that 90% of the hats you were buying with your own money. Am I wrong in that part?
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? So like, a lot of people don't understand
at the beginning.
Yeah.
But as the channel got stronger and stronger, listen, I could pretty much get anything I wanted. I just had to ask, like, hey, would you like me to show this hat or not? Like, and if they did,
Yeah.
they would just send it to me. Now, I could
Yeah.
have charged a ton of money for that stuff. You understand? Like, some of these people were making, like, my fitness. I'm sure he was making like 700 units of some of these hats, and for me to do a video, he was sending me a pack of them. Like, there's nowhere you get a deal like that, free publicity like that.
Yeah.
And there were some lives where I was getting like 500 to 1,000 people at a time on a live or on YouTube, which is like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, now, if you get a couple hundred, you're real lucky, but it's free advertising for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's all because I really love this stuff, though. I really truly enjoy logos, sports, pop culture, and how like hats kind of, they kind of pull it all together.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. And it's I feel like it's one of those fashion items that you could really incorporate, like your music, like everything, like literally, like you said, like you can really bring all of that together into it, because you can hook a hat out of anything. Or sometimes you might just be feeling good outside and you like the colors, that the way the building is, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna put these together. That's a little
Yeah, and
moment
listen,
right there.
I think like some people underestimate, like, one of the downfalls of the community has been like ego, man. It's like, I've seen this business in lots of different ways. I've been someone who buys, a consumer, probably one of the bigger consumers.
Yeah.
Then I became like someone who just wanted to showcase and interview people in the hat world. So I was kind of getting to know them. And then I start to see, like, I start to review hats. Then I get to a place where I'm starting to create hats. Then I own my own business. Now I'm at Lids. So I've seen this business from every direction. There's very few people that have seen it to the degree I have. Yeah. Because I've seen it from every single angle. And I think the ego in the community was spawned from a lot of people being given the ability to create. And sometimes people can't handle that sort of power. And then they become like hugely egotistical. And,
those will be the same people that are saying the community is dead, but in reality is that they forgot.
No, it's just their opportunities are dead. So once their opportunities are dead, they translate that into the community is dead. Not the community is not dead. Actually, the community is just bigger. There's a rebirth now. Oh, yeah. And it's evolving. But what I was trying to get at is anybody, for the most part, can make a couple great hats. But when you have to make thousands of great hats, the whole thing is way different. It's way different. So, I think like there has to be a little bit of humility, because I've been humbled many times in my life, be it in this world, my previous jobs, or in life in general. I've been humbled many times. People need more humbling experiences to realize, hey, listen, you feel like you're on the top of the world because you made a couple hats, but there's more to this than just that. And I think people don't realize the difficulty it is when you start to like exponentially grow something like that. And
do you feel like it's just like do you feel like if it's like people just looking at money instead of having like a true passion behind it?
I think some people like, listen, man, I think some people weren't hugged enough when they were a kid. I think some people I think some people are in it for the wrong reasons because they want to capitalize on something. I think the reason why I progressed and I ended up in the place I am today is because I never did it for reasons other than really loving the culture and loving hats and loving the community, the good parts of the community. So those things drove me to a place of where I am today. And I see a lot of people out there that I feel like, I know you laughed when I said people didn't get enough hugs as kids, but I do think people are oftentimes fueled by the validation that they get when creating something, and someone saying, "Oh my God, I need to have," like, that doesn't really drive me. That doesn't drive me.
And it shows. It shows for a lot of people. Like they do want that everybody like coming to them. You know, they want to be the center of attention. They want to be that light bulb that shines
Mhm.
everywhere, and then everything they do comes behind that. And I feel like, at least from my end, I feel like that if you do it from like that, it's not really gonna take you anywhere because you don't really care for it. You just want to be in the spotlight, and you
No,
think
like
it's gonna
well,
elevate you.
it's like everyone can be fueled by different things, but I think like if you're not fueled for the love of what you're doing, if you're not fueled by that, it's gonna be very short lived. It's gonna burn out, and people are gonna feel it.
Yeah,
Like people can like bees smell fear, people smell fake. So if you're really not into it, people are gonna know. Like if you're in it for
yeah.
the wrong reasons, they're gonna know. If you're in it just to make a buck, reselling, make a few bucks off reselling, people are gonna know. Like I mean, you know, you got to be passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
for sure. You gotta be doing the things that you like in order for them to come into to flower, for them to blossom, for real.
right, right,
But I want to talk about something fun, right? So
yeah,
2020, you post a picture on your Instagram with the hashtag ultimate hat collector,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah.
and that was for the lids competition.
Hmm.
What did that moment do for you or mean to you when you got to post the Patriots one and the Red Sox one for because you ended up winning that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah. No, I won, and then they asked me to do it the next year, and I declined. Um, you know, it was fun, man. I mean, they asked me to participate though. I didn't. Someone reached out to me from the Lids account and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to participate this year," and I participated. It was fun, dude. I mean, because basically what you're doing is you're really just marketing your collection for like
Yeah.
a few weeks and creating content and stuff. And you know, I think the first guy who won, John Bear, was a fantastic collector. Um, he won the first one ever. He was great, man. He has a legit collection. But then after that, there was a couple hits and misses in terms of who won that. It almost felt like it didn't feel like they were real collectors. A couple of them.
Yeah.
Um, and this one was more of a validation, I think, for that Ultimate Hat Collector competition because it really, I listen, man, I showed everything I had, and it was like
Yeah,
it
nah,
was a
that,
lot.
that
It was a
to
lot.
this day, I mean, it's your profile picture to this day, like, so I also wanted to ask to that, like, how do you feel like that helped you per se in your journey, because it's still very early on in your journey, in a sense, like you're becoming, like, views from the vault is going and everything, but like, for you winning that and being a part of that, how did that help you in your career in the hot in the career of the hot world for you?
It really didn't. It just made it. It was just another fun thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, because like being the best collector, what does that even mean? It's just like
Yeah.
it was just fun to do. It was kind of cool to show stuff off and people learn stuff about the collection and learn about hats that they hadn't seen before. I thought that was the cool part, but it didn't really help me per se. Like it's not
Yeah.
like I got a ton of followers from it or anything. It was just like it was
Mm.
just another fun
That
thing.
was more so what I thought it would have did for you, like get you more of the following, and people be like, "Oh,
Oh man,
who is this guy?"
the following just exploded because of the hype, man. It's nothing crazy that I did other than consistently posted, and I posted in abundance, meaning when I posted something, you saw like 20 hats in the post or something like that. Like if you're able to post with abundance, meaning like a high quantity of hats in the photo,
Yeah.
it just goes nuts, man. It's just you can see it on my Instagram now. I did the World Baseball Classic post. It's got like 5,000 likes on it now because there's so many hats in the picture.
Yeah.
Um, so I was just very consistent in my posting schedule, and the hype kind of carried it. So people had nothing else to do other than be on Instagram during COVID, and they're sitting there and they're just like liking photos, looking at things, and it just exploded my account and exploded hat culture in general.
Mm. Yeah, no. Because you also, after you win the lids and everything, right? And you're doing more posts. You should do things to kind of like bring the community together, and that's something that I think I highlight on here, right? The fitties.
Yeah,
You remember doing the 50s, the award show? How
yeah,
was
yeah.
how did that used to go? And is it possible that we'll be able to see the 50s come back?
I mean, the 50s. I wanted to. I wanted to kind of reward people for like their hard work. Now, listen, when I say we, when I say I, like Leon was a part of a lot of this stuff. I'm the leader of the two of us, like in terms of where we're going, but without Leon, I
Yeah,
can't accomplish this stuff. That's for sure. Because there
yeah,
was just so much like logistical work that needed to happen with this stuff. Um, but I just wanted to reward and create dialogue around things. Like so people talk about designer of the year. I had some guy say, no one's ever talked about you about about designer. I said, dude, I don't care. Like I created designer of the year. Like, what are you talking about?
yeah,
No one was talking about this before. And like, it was just more about like trying to shine a light on the people that were doing cool stuff in the hat world. I'll tell you, I did it for 2 years and it's a thankless thing. You get 50% of the people really appreciate it and they thank you for the award. And other people are like, man, I'm throwing this in the garbage. So at the end of the day, I'm like, why am I going to spend more of my personal time
yeah.
doing stuff that the people I'm rewarding or giving awards to don't even care?
They're
At
not
that point, I'm
appreciative
like, you
of
know
it.
what, dude, why am I doing this? Like, and I'm not
Yeah,
going to be biased either because someone doesn't appreciate the award. Now I'm not going to like give them the award. So it put me in this really weird space of like, do I go to a place of only reward the people that appreciate the award? That's not really
yeah,
the purpose of this. Like, so then I'm in this weird space of I can't really do it authentically. I'm not going to do it at all. Could it come
gotcha.
back? Yes, but I can't be the guy voting on it. So, um, you know,
Would you make it in like like they do now for the BETs and everything, where they have everybody just vote on a QR code or something like that, to where the people choose. You
yeah,
give them
no,
the
I think
list
if I
of
were
where
if
to
I were to
vote
do it
from.
now, if I were to do it again, I'd find a panel of people that I trust that I think would be balanced,
Yeah.
um, and have them figure it out. That would probably be the
Mm,
so maybe create like a group of 10 people and they can go and figure it out. I give them the categories, they figure it out, they build the criteria and stuff, but I certainly can't be a part of that process because of my position now at Lids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2021, go a year following, right? The hype is hyping. The hype is hyping, and Complex reaches out to you, and you get featured on Complex. How that even come about? Like being
Uh,
featured on Complex, and like really putting the fitted community in the light.
I don't even remember how it got to me. I mean, the MLB article that we'll talk about later, I think that one was directly it reached out. Michael Sinclair reached out. Sinclair reached out to me, but Complex was just I don't know maybe because they were talking to other people and then my name came up and then they came and they talked to me too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that was really a validating moment for the hack community in general because now it was on Complex's radar. So it was um it was cool to be a part of that. Um, but I don't even remember how I was reached. God, I don't even
Yeah.
remember.
Nah, I do remember seeing it. When that's when for me, around like the late 2020, early 2021, that's when I really, like, I was indulging myself in the community, in the hot community and everything. And
Yeah,
I remember seeing that because I used to see your posts all the time. Like that
yeah,
was the post to look for.
yeah,
And also hot crawlers. Shout out to hot crawlers.
yeah, yeah,
But I seen that on there and I was like, oh, y'all asleep. Y'all don't even know. I remember seeing the whole poll and everything. And I was like, dude, that's dope, man. To see something that I like being featured on Complex, because Complex is very picky when it comes to
mhm,
whatever they feature. But seeing that up there, I was like, oh, dude, man, like I want to see
yeah,
the scores and everything. So, but yeah, I think that was really dope. I think
yeah.
that was a
Nah, it was a
dope
cool. It
thing
was it
to
was a
see.
cool experience. I mean, not everyone can say they were in Complex magazine. So it's kind of a
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, no. Um, so I want to ask, 2021, you go into um Topper store, right? 2021.
Was it 2021? I don't. No, I think it was later. wasn't it? Yeah, it was later than that.
A little bit later.
Yeah, so
So
2021, so Topper Store, the story behind Topper Store, we can talk a little bit about the history of it. So
yeah, that's what the question is. How'd you come about the partnership, stepping into the creator role, and what are some of your most proudest designs that you did end up doing there, and
yeah,
how did that shape you? How did
yeah.
that shape you in the community?
Now to be clear, I wasn't a creator there. I created there, but I was co-owner of Topper Store USA. So what happened is early on, so Topper Store in Austria was not a well-known entity in the hat world.
Yeah,
It took two things to really help uh, that organization explode. Number one was Hat Crawler. He started posting the stuff, and Topper Store was shipping to the U.S. at the time. And then I started showing the stuff on Views from the Vault. And again, Views from the Vault was getting so many views, it was out of control. Like it was like at that point, like if you were on our show, like you were getting traffic because you were on the show.
yeah,
So we started showing his stuff, and it started to really explode. And we started to do some collaborations with Topper Store. So I don't know if I did Pinstripe Heroes with them, which was a pinstripe Major League Baseball collection that did really, really well. We did colorway collections with him where we exclusively collaborated with him. And that really like drove a relationship between myself and Topper Store. Now, all the while I'm working my regular jobs here. And he had to stop shipping to the US because he was technically breaking a rule. Like you're not allowed to ship to the US from Austria. That's not the way it works.
yeah,
There's certain rules you have when you have a new era contract, and that was one that was being missed, and it was then enforced. So he could no longer ship to the United States. So a couple years ago, 3 years ago, he reached out to me, said, "Hey, maybe 3.5 years ago, he said, I want to open in the United States, and I'd love it. I'd love to take you on as a partner, and we work together to build this business." So we did. We opened a store in Mont Haven in the Bronx,
yes,
and
sir.
started an online business for Topper Store USA. So I was basically working my regular job, and then after I would get out of work, I would go spend 4 or 5 hours at that physical location in the Bronx, getting the store stocked, built up, getting things together to run the store. And I was not leaving my job at that point. I was going to stay at my
Um,
job and do this
yeah,
on the side. But what happened was it blew up. The first weekend we opened, there was a line like 4 city blocks long of people waiting, in line,
jeez.
and it was so busy, and it,
Yeah,
it just exploded. So the business got really busy real fast, and then I had to leave my job, and it was a big decision for me to leave my job to do that full time.
yeah,
Now, with
because I mean,
family
your job
business,
brought that sense of security.
yeah, listen,
That
I mean, I took a risk. I took a big risk because my job I had a very good job.
yeah,
Um, it paid more than it was going to pay to be co-owner of that business.
yeah,
There was zero chance at that point I was going to make nearly the money I was making at my other job. But I wanted to take a risk and give it a shot. Never done anything like that before. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. I talked to my family. I talked to my girlfriend. Like, yeah, had their kind of support and move forward.
yeah. They're the
Um,
ones with you at all times. So
what's that?
I said, they're the ones with you at all times. So they got to make that decision right along. If they're not
Yeah,
okay, then
they're truly they're the most important people in my life. So, you know,
yeah,
all this other stuff comes in a distant second to my family. So when
yeah,
you know, it was a great experience. My parents were actually working at the warehouse. Like my son worked with me, my daughter worked with me for a while. Really great experience. Built a lot of crazy hats. Um, there's some stuff that set some trends coming out of Topper Store USA for sure. But at the end of the day, it was I enjoyed it, but I had a difference of opinion with my partner. I don't. I'm not going to get too deep into that. I
yeah. No,
just
you don't have to. You
I
don't have
felt like it
to.
was time
I
for.
just wanted to know more. Like, how'd you get? into that head role and
Yeah.
everything. You don't
Well,
you
I had a different,
already went down that.
I had like a different vision or thoughts for our future. And it was time for me to do something different.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
kind of where we diverged.
where like, but I do want to know, out of all the ones that you brought to life, right? What was your like favorite collection that you did end up doing there?
I didn't really do collections there though. I want to be clear. I did more like one-offs, right?
Yeah.
So, um, Hip Hop is Dead is one of my favorites. That's the one where I hooked it to Nas's Hip Hop is Dead album. Um, the Freddy hat, the Pinwheel Freddy hat is another
Oh,
crazy one. The Fresno, and I think the thing that I was most impressed with there that I was able to do was make minor league logos one of our best-selling sort of
I was just
endeavors.
about to say, I feel like that Freddy hat was like that switch where everybody was like, hold on, let's look at these minor league team logos and everything, because that Freddy hat, I feel like it had everybody in a frenzy, everybody in their mom. I remember seeing resale price of 280 $300, and I'm like, nah, bro, this is ridiculous.
Well,
Everybody wanted that.
The Fresno Grizzlies specifically, even outside of that Freddy hat, was probably we probably sold more Fresno Grizzlies hats than we did like Red Sox hats, Mets hats, Dodger. We
Yeah.
sold so many Fresno Grizzly hats because I did a series. It was kind of a series called Savage Attack. So every time I did a new Grizzlies hat, I would call it Savage Attack 1, Savage Attack 2, Savage Attack 3.
Yeah.
And it was a really good sort of franchise for us. I mean, it was a go-to, and we could push units of it.
Yeah.
And not many people were able to push units of minor league baseball.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's what I'm saying. Like that Fresno Grizzly, especially the slashing one, and then you put the F on the side.
Yeah.
That combination on a hat, it was
Mhm.
deadly. It was like you had to have that.
Yeah, no, dude,
Yeah.
it was really successful. So in general, what I love most about my experience there was how much I learned. Um, and listen, there was some turbulence there. There was some ups and downs, and I think you learn a lot from those things.
Yeah. Do you say that would help, that helped your character for your following move as you was there?
Yeah, I think what it does is it teaches you that what goes up must come down. I think
Yeah.
you know this too shall pass. I think that goes for positive and negative things. So if you're on a real high, you got to remember, hey, this isn't going to last forever. But if you're on a real
Yeah.
low, that ain't going to last forever ever either. So I
Yeah.
think it's
If
just
you're
like,
real low, you ain't got nowhere but up to go.
or you stay, yeah, unless you got no fight and you just stay there forever. But I
Yeah.
mean, most people have fight in them.
We would like to think that most people do. At least we preach that to them and pray over them. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, exactly.
So we fast forward on your tenure at Toppers, and we fast forward to 2025. In May of 2025, you put the post up that you're joining the Lids team, the same company in which has asked you to already be in the competitions, and you end up winning the competitions, and they wanted you most likely to still be on there, right? What did that full circle moment feel like to join Lids and Lids HD?
Well, listen, I was interviewing because I left Toppers without a for the first time in my life. I was leaving something without a direct plan.
Mm,
So, which is scary. But at the same point, at that point, it was necessary. So I was interviewing with other folks, and then I had a relationship with Lids for many years, so I know people within Lids. I always have.
yeah,
Um, and the connection was made. I talked to Big Jack, who's one of the guys I interviewed on my show many years ago, and we stayed in contact. We built a hat pack with Liz together, him and I, and the Views from the Vault crew, called Generational Legend. So we had a relationship, and that connected me to Liz. And they reached out to me and wanted to talk more about a position with them. And the position basically would be to run all of Lids HD. That means the boutique stores, the e-com, and also head up fashion fashion headwear for the company,
Yeah.
which is, if you know anything about like the hat world, that's probably there's no job bigger than that. I think when it comes to
I
creative.
mean, I was just about to say, like, I mean, if anybody that's watching, you go into a Lids HD right now, and you see most of the stuff that's there right now, unless they have some old stock, most of the stuff that you see in there, thank that man that's on the screen for you right now,
No,
because
no, actually, you know what? I'll be honest with you. There's still a lot of stuff in there that I haven't, like, because it takes a while. It takes a while. So, but it's not just Lids HD, like it's Lids too.
yeah,
So, like A-frames have just taken off, right? So, an A-frame wall, the A-frames you're seeing in those stores right now are stuff that the fashion A-frames are the ones that I kind of like put together. That was like my first task when I got the Lids.
yeah.
Um, but in general, the fashion headwear at lid stores, I'd say give it another 3 or 4 months, all of it's pretty much going to be stuff that I've had my hand in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really dope. Hey, if I could throw it there for your Lids people, we need a Lids HD in the Lehigh Valley. we
Yeah.
got we got we got a small one. If y'all listen to it, I know he can't really, but listen, man, just we need a Lids HD in our Lehigh Valley location, because right now we only have the regular one, and these exclusive ones they're not reaching the store. You get what I'm saying? So we gotta go all the way, and I wouldn't have to go grab them. So please,
Yeah, but there's
y'all
more stuff.
listening?
There's more stuff coming too. Like, there's more concepts. I can't get into the details of it with Lids HD, but there's stuff coming that might satisfy folks that don't have a physical Lids HD in their area. So,
Hmm.
just stay tuned. But there's some thoughts there around, the evolution where that could go. But in general, there's a lot of initiatives that I'm kind of heading up at Lids, which has been a great challenge and a lot of fun, to be honest with
Yeah. So I wanna say, right, because obviously you have created thousands and thousands of hats, right? How do you balance honoring like the classic lids energy with bringing your new style into it that they really haven't seen? Because a lot of people would say that you single-handedly are bringing back lids, and
you. Yeah, and
I
I
think
would say
it's
I would say that's crazy. So let
I
me.
mean, and listen, I,
Uh,
I give I give credit where it's due, baby. Listen, just I
nah,
know I know it's kind of crazy, but
nah, I've read some of those things, heard some of those things, but what Liz was missing was an adequate validator. So someone that can say, "Hey, listen, this stuff is really good." Um, so what the unique thing I bring to the table is, yeah, I make stuff, but I also validate stuff. So um, I'm not saying people should do this, but some people do rely on my opinion of things at times, as to whether or not something is valid, from a hat perspective. So they were missing that. Now they were making some good stuff, and they were making some great stuff, and they were making some not so great stuff. That's the reality. So what I'm trying to bring to the equation is a fresh look, something that's different, something that a customer wouldn't normally have saw at a lid store, um, while still maintaining the other stuff that people became accustomed to getting at lids, because that's still very important. There's
yeah,
got to be a balance here. There's got to be, the way I look at it is lid stores should not be just a destination for, the everyday stuff. It should also have some
exactly.
fashion stuff in it, because frankly, it's a fashion piece. So,
Yeah, it
you know,
is. It is. I mean, everybody, if you are into sneakers or like dressing up, I said it because sometimes it's not even sneakers. I've seen
mhm,
many people go into stores with Chelsea boots on, and they're
mhm.
going to go grab a fitted to go with their outfit. You know, so I
Well,
think
listen,
I know.
there's also a way to twist some things up. So, we know what murdered out hats are, all black, just black, black.
Yeah,
This is just my version of the murdered out hat, where you got some silver to it and some metallics. So that's
yeah,
still staying true to the DNA and the identity, but adding some flash to it. I
exactly,
think, and I think
exactly.
that's okay. I think, you know, we don't know, we don't listen, we gotta get to a place where these lid stores are full of great hats top to bottom for everybody. And I think the only thing that was missing is a little bit of the fashion piece.
Yeah.
And I think now it's starting to get infused into it.
And I don't want to misquote it, right? But Steve Jobs used to say this thing where it's like, you know, a lot of people don't know that they want something until you show it to them, until you put it there. People don't know what they want until you
Well,
give
listen,
it to them.
and funny you should bring him up because I was I was at Apple for about 13 years. So that was one of the places that I worked at. And I'll say,
man,
like,
I love Steve Jobs's
well, but that's
story.
when you're in a place of strength, is when you can dictate what the consumer wants.
Exactly.
So, you know, Lids is a big ship, man. It's a big ship. This is a big company. This is not like you don't have like 4 retail. There's well over 1,000 retail locations.
Yeah.
You know, and
all over the world. This is a worldwide company.
Well, it's now it's like the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Australia. It's not like it's
oh well, they don't have the Europe locations anymore, do they?
No. So here's the deal, right? Is like, what I mean by it's a hardship to move is Lids HD needs to be like what sets the trends, because it's a smaller component of lids. And then if a trend starts there, then it can be kind of a lids thing, you know? Yeah. And I think that's kind of that's the beauty of what I get to do right now, is to test things, try things, do some cool stuff on Lids HD and see what takes hold. And then you can kind of like expand it. Now, the fashion stuff that's going to Lids right now is stuff that's already proven. So it's like, all right, let's get this stuff in there because it's proven. Because you can't make a mistake at a place like Lids, because if you're filling 1,000+ stores with the wrong thing, that's a bad that weighs heavily on you, because I can't do that. I can't do that.
I'm gonna take this one, right? And I mentioned Europe. I do have another co-host. He's over in London, and so I'm gonna bring him on here because he's gonna ask you some questions as well. This is my guy Rob, Mr. Pierre, TheCappedWonder, and we're here.
All right.
Nice to finally meet you in digital person. Obviously, I've been following your work for a long time and seeing what you're doing, and I think you hit the nail on the head just then when you were talking about filling the stores with the wrong thing. And I'm assuming that is what happened with Lids in London and Europe.
I have no idea. I can't speak to that, man. That was before my time, you know. Listen, I will say, and that's really not a place where I'm an expert, dude. I just know, in general, I think for me, what I'm doing at Lids is really focused on just creating trends at the Lids HD perspective, from the Lids HD perspective,
of course,
and to create the right sort of product mix from a fashion perspective for Lids. And it's been fantastic. The team over there is great. I'm not some savior that went in there to fix something. It was more, I was just added to a great team to kind of take it to the next level.
Nice. Yeah. So one quick one from me, and I've always admired how do you, because obviously we know how people in sneakers do it, people stay on top of trends, but like you said about fashion, are there certain ways that you keep an eye on what's fashionable, what's doing well, what designs people are looking for, and do you incorporate that into the Lids strategy? Because I noticed you did the Realtree stuff, which flew out. You guys, have done the upside down logos, which again flew out, and things like that. And it's just like, how did you base that? How do you know that's going to be a success? Because like you said, it's not a small ship. So how do you do that?
A couple. I'd say proactively is just really trying to pay attention and figure where things are going. So, for example, I tried pinwheels recently, and I still believe that this is a huge trend that's going to just take off even more, because
I love
what you're starting to see this 90s fashion, late 90s, early 2000s fashion coming back. And you start seeing, like, you just got to pay attention around you. I'm watching the way kids are dressing. I'm in the airport and I see some guy wearing his jersey backwards. Remember, and I also know that Playboy Cardi has a lot to do with that, but I'm watching these little trends that are like kind of taking shape, and I'm like, all right, man, I got to jump on this, because you're starting to see the earmarks of what's happening. Yeah. Now that's one way is just paying attention and consuming content, and understanding, that I'm a middle-aged white guy, but understanding that I need to pay attention to the non-middle-aged white guys to see where things are going. So that's one way. That's one piece. The other thing is just taking shots in the dark and taking some random risks and see what happens.
Yeah, but I'm assuming these random. Oh, sorry, no, carry on.
No, let me just finish this one thought. What's good about what I do is I have a smaller platform, being Lids HD, and I can just pepper it and just try things, see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this colorway did well within this little pack. Okay, that's gonna work here. So let me take this and make it here. And paying attention to competition, and understanding what they're really going heavy in.
Yeah.
And saying, can I validate that myself?
Yeah.
So, meaning if I see Culture Kings or Hat Club or somebody else doing something, can I validate that's the right direction? So I do my own personal validation to see if that's something that would click. And if so, hey man, I got to put my spin on this too. So and then reactively is like, is like, hey, I missed something. How do I get on this right away? Which is not always the best place to be. The place you want to be is where those shots in the dark are trends that you create, and then you own the trend, and then you can kind of move on. And now other people are jumping on what you just did.
Yeah.
Now you can move on and do something else. So, dude, it's not like there's no real easy explanation other than proactively keep your eyes open, try to observe what you're seeing and where things are heading. And then paying attention to competition, see what they're going all in on, do some personal validation, and reactively, all right, I missed this one. Now how do I jump on it? And I had to do a lot of that at the beginning because I wasn't at Lids before. So once I got the Lids, I had to do some reactive stuff, like upside down logos. I cannot take credit for that. That's ridiculous. That was kill the hype. And then New Era kind of took it, and other companies took it and started really jumping in on that wave. But I realized that sometimes the Lids consumer was a little bit behind on trends and that it would work.
Yeah.
I mean, some people believe it or not, and that's why, like, to what we said earlier, right? That some people will go on there and say, "Oh, the community's dead," and da. There's some people that are literally like Lids consumers. They only shop at Lids. They don't care about the other mom and pop shop that's down the street or nothing like that. They legitimately like wake up, they bought a new pair of shoes and they go straight to a Lids because that's what they know.
Dude, listen, some of these folks don't even know these other places exist.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I know I didn't. So speaking from obviously a London perspective, from a UK fitted collector, obviously I exclusively shopped at Lids for years because that's all I had. Like this funny you said, like I chose this. This was the first ever hat I bought at Lids years ago, and it was like for me that's not even a proper side patch, but because obviously it's like what we have, that's all we had access to here. That's all I had. But like the guys over in the States, you've got those little independent ones, like you said, that they don't even know exist.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? Honestly, before Views in the Vault, most people didn't even know about them. Wow. And I think this is except for the local customers. So this is the thing that I think people underestimated about Views in the Vault and what it did for culture. It was exactly what you said. Most people only knew of Lids, and then some people knew of Hat Club, but when you talk about the population of the United States, you really think most people knew about Hat Club? No, they knew about Lids.
Not at all.
You think anybody knew about My Fitteds in Patterson? No. Not you think they knew about like Locker Room Downey? No, only locals knew about those places. People weren't flying to 4U Caps in the Bronx. I did a vlog, a quick shopping vlog in 4U Caps, and they had people flying out from California to go see their hat store. Like, come on, like that. People can say what they want about me or my platforms, but they did way more for this culture than most people will ever realize.
That's why I had to bring you on here because again, I need the people to understand that this man, bro, like he has really put in work, bro. And when I tell you, like from the strength of himself. Like you just heard him in here, man. The bro, you should really just work and do this just for the heck of it, just to bring everybody else a different flavor, something new, so y'all can enjoy it just as much as he did.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
listen though. Listen, like anybody who hates on the platform or me, or they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to do that. But I'm gonna be completely honest with you. A lot of the things that you enjoy today wouldn't have existed in this culture had I not done what I did with Use the Vault with Leon. It wouldn't have happened.
Exactly.
Because nobody would have known John Jay was hooking hats to Harry Potter. No one would have known any of this stuff. They wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have known that half these places existed. And at the end of the day, when it comes to like collaborations too, micro influencers, I'm calling them. Because I'm a micro influencer. I know I'm small. You understand? I know I'm small. The problem is a lot of micro influencers don't realize they're small.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't realize where it started. Okay, so when it comes to collaborations with stores, that never used to happen unless it was a macro influencer, like someone huge, like I don't know, like an athlete or a musician.
Yeah.
When micro influencing where it really took hold, I wasn't the first, but I was one of the first from a micro perspective. So J Tips, I call him at the time a micro influencer because he wasn't as big as he is now.
Yeah.
He was on my show. He's much bigger now, and rightfully so, and he should be. He's a very creative guy. I love everything he does.
Yeah.
He was really kind of the start of the micro influencer, like going in and collaborating with stores, right? And then you had another guy. I'm not going to name his name because he's not someone I see eye to eye with. Then there was me. And we were all micro influencers that were creating. Now I'm not at J Tips level. I'm gonna be clear. I don't feel to me he's a big influencer now because he's making sneakers. This guy is like he's doing just fantastic things. But the micro influencer collaborating with a store, that would never have happened or taken hold without my channel and the involvement I had in that process.
Okay.
Because no one would have thought it was possible.
That's a fact.
Then you had two things. Then you had kids that wanted to do it, men that wanted to do it, girls that wanted to do it, women that wanted to do it, and stores that were looking to alleviate the pressure on themselves and to capitalize on reach. Meaning they weren't all doing it for the right reason. Some of them were doing it. They weren't doing it to put you on. They were doing it because they wanted to sell more hats. That's the reality.
They wanted people to know where their store was and all of that.
But it's also probably down to the fact that the majority of people who are wearing hats are not celebrities. They're not, obviously they are, celebrities are wearing them, but there's a larger number of non-celebrities wearing hats. So these shops are using people to influence their friends to buy hats from their store.
Right, and you're still things. Right. And I'm not saying that some of these store owners weren't doing it to benefit, and they weren't benefiting one another. At times they were, but a lot of times it was just store owners didn't have the ability or was too lazy to create their own stuff. Yeah. But also realize, hey, listen, I can sell 72 pieces if I have this kid make it and then a bunch of their friends buy it. And there's positives to that. There's also negatives. I mean, because like there's some stuff. I'm honestly, not everybody should be making hats. Plain and simple.
It's like being an entrepreneur. Not everybody has it to be an entrepreneur. And I agree with you on that statement. Not everybody should be making hats because a lot of the times they're not doing it for the right reasons and they're not putting good stuff out.
Well, it's
what it is.
They just don't plain have the ability to do it. Like that's okay. Everybody's got their niche or their things that they're really great at. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, and there's a lot of things I'm good at. But I'll tell you one thing, there's some folks that should not be making hats because what worries me is it makes the product look bad too. Like you have a mirror flag on the side and you have some of these things that are put together so sloppily. And then God forbid you say that you don't like somebody's hat. Like it becomes this whole thing. And I personally don't care. I have no problem saying I don't like somebody's stuff, whatever. But like some of this stuff like people are buying, they're just buying to support their buddies. And that's cool, man. But at the same time, like it's also reinforcing some really bad stuff, man. I mean,
people thinking
you are part of the issue because you are enabling bad work.
So moving on to our next kind of set of questions, that was the perfect segue into design and things like that. Obviously we spoke about people designing and things like that. I'm going to ask the next 3 questions in sort of one, just obviously conscious of time and things like that. So what inspires your kind of color choices and overall design, and what is storytelling important to you when you're creating something? Because you've created probably thousands of hats now, so not every single one of them is going to have a story, I'm guessing, but is it big to you?
So from a color perspective, I've always been a sneaker guy, so a lot of it comes from sneakers and seeing like those different things. Like I'll go through old sneaker books and look at old Nike Dunk color combinations, things like that. You know, because that also helps with storytelling. I'll get to that in a minute, but I do think that again, awareness of what's around you. It could be album covers, it could be anything. Like, I don't know, man. There's just so many things out there from a color perspective that you can draw inspiration from.
Yeah.
But I think at the core of it's sneakers for me.
Nice.
But also I like to make things that look new but familiar. So for example, like taking logos that may be from this era and then coloring them like a previous era. So like taking the Pittsburgh Pirates now, finding and using like one of their old colorways that has old gold in it or something, just looking for things that people are like, wow, this looks weird, but it's familiar, and I think those things kind of set people's eyes in a different space. Things like that are super important. And then other times it's just about like, I just see a color combination. I don't know, randomly. It could be on like, an album cover. It could be on the front of a book. And I'm like, wow, that looks really good. Like, I mean, this should look good on a hat.
That's cool.
But from a storytelling perspective, what I'm always trying to do, especially in an organization like Lids, is I'm trying to create something that's easy to market.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
To be honest with you, like I'm also a marketer at heart too, in a different way. I'm like a grassroots marketer. I'm not a trained marketer, but like Use and Vault and my Instagram are marketing tools.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty successful with it. So for me, I'm trying to figure out, all right, how can I cue this up for the marketing team at Lids to make it the easiest thing for them to present to the consumer?
Yeah.
So, like some of these packs I've done recently that are more thematic, I'm trying to cue it up because hey man, this would be really easy to market. I'm already thinking about how they could market it, because if you're thinking of the product, not only the creation of it, but also how it's going to be marketed. Yeah, that's a real win because you're making it easy for your partners and your peers.
Yeah, that's
it. I love that thought process, just because like me and him, we appreciate that the most, because I feel like the marketing part you'll be able to understand, because a lot of the times you're not seeing the product in hand. You don't get to see the hat and everything, right? So with the way you put the product out there for people to see clear, nice, and almost feel like it's in your hands, it plays a big part into like a lot of the times.
Is far more important than these more ultra wild videos with
AI pictures
and stuff where you can barely see the stuff. Like, I listen, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like that's one of Hat Club's biggest downfalls. Is like they're sitting there with these marketing campaigns that are wild, and there's all, but you don't get a good look at the hat sometimes. Like people aren't buying this random model that you have wearing the hat. They're buying the hat, and I think there's got to be a mix of lifestyle and just good photography of the hat, right?
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, that's a huge thing I appreciate, being a photographer myself and really trying to push my way into an industry of product photography and doing a lot of it in my own time. I do pay attention to what a lot of companies do and how they market their products. Like I recently just did a shoot for a hat in my own, just kind of because obviously it was based on a Gamma 11, and I had a pair of Gamma 11s on me, and I thought, get the hat, get the Gamma 11s, and I did a little shoot for it. And it's one of those things where it's like I'm practicing promo shots, and I've had a number of people say that exact thing to me when people are like, if you're just showcasing the hat, that's so much better than something that's taking all the attention away from the hat. Because if someone buys it and they don't like it, they've got a sour taste in their mouth and they're not going to come back to you.
Which is why you'll see a good mix on Lids HD of you'll see some lifestyle stuff, but you'll also see, just some good clean pictures of hats, man. Because at the end of the day, people are buying the hat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's,
Cool.
dude, honestly, how often are you enticed to buy a hat because it was on the head of a model?
Yeah, true. Very, very true.
I mean, I'm sure it helps sometimes. I think some of the younger crowd does find some appreciation in that sort of style. But at the end of the day, man, you're buying the hat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I will say, depending on the hooks and what you are putting out there, if you can get some really good like product shots that tell the story of each hat into it, most definitely, because we can see
Listen,
like the
you
story
need no, you're
told
right.
through.
You're right. So if it's thematic, you
Yeah,
need some extra sort of oomph behind it. But
Yeah,
if
anything
it's a
some sauce.
colorway, you don't need all that. Like you
yeah,
just
you don't
need
need all
some,
the extra stuff.
so it
Yeah.
kind of depends on what it is. So it varies from product to product, and that's it. So like when I'm doing a thematic pack, like I did the Seen and Heard pack, which is really based on some Spike Lee movies, that needed
Yeah.
something else to it,
Yeah, yeah,
because it doesn't. Not everyone's going to know the story, so you have to kind of
Exactly.
give some context clues to allow people to understand what the story is.
yeah.
That's what I'm getting at when I'm trying to cue marketing up with what I'm creating, because I'm giving them something
Yeah.
that's easy to market.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, just moving on to kind of like, obviously, we spoke about your design, your color choices, your storytelling. You guys have obviously touched on culture. So, we're going to move on to obviously, we're going to talk more about you and your journey. Just sort of like, again, group of questions, obviously, for time. So, we wanted to kind of know more about looking back. You're quite humble. We've noticed that you're not this,
Yeah.
you don't take credit for things which you know for a fact you didn't do. You said before, you can't take credit for the upside down things and things like that. But what made you look back and made you go, you really are one of the people in the culture? Because let's be honest here, you are. As much as you're trying to be humble, you are one of the people.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest challenge in the journey? And that could be from a professional point of view, that can be from a collector's point of view, or anything like that. And what keeps you inspired to kind of keep pushing the culture forward? Because you haven't stopped. Like I said, we all follow your page, and we could see that you haven't stopped, and you haven't stopped for a second. You're always in an airport. You're always traveling. You're always going somewhere else. So, what makes you keep having that drive?
First, being grounded is very important to me, because I think the people that end up failing are the ones that think they're more than they are. You understand? Anybody who thinks they're more than they are tends to fail. So I always want to think, I want to appreciate the things I've accomplished, but I also want to think a little less of myself, because it keeps me in a good place.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think like arrogance, overly arrogant people, not confident people, overly arrogant people always fail. They always fail. Now, that doesn't mean it may not be visible to the naked eye, but trust me, they're failing. They're failing somewhere. You just can't see it.
A lot of the times is in the home.
It could be in the home. It could be whatever. I mean, if you're not grounded, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Now, when did I realize I had a significant impact? There's not one moment. It's more like a series of moments or comments or interactions. I think like when people told me, hey Pierre, like, thank you for Views from the Vault, because it gave me something to do during a very tough time when I had nobody else to talk to. Things like that are probably the most important.
Absolutely.
When you realize a platform is more than just like showing off hats and making money for people.
Yeah.
You start to get, wow, this is more. That's why I still do Views from the Vault, because honestly, do I benefit a lot from Views from the Vault now? No. As a matter of fact, it probably creates competition for me.
Yeah.
But
so you're putting highlights on other people.
Yeah, dude. I'm steering the fashion headwear ship of the largest headwear entity on the planet.
That's
lids.
That's a
That being
sentence.
lids. Yeah.
And I'm still showing off other people's stuff. I won't say that's
just
stupid. But
clip that one right there, so people can understand that. I'm clipping that specific one right there.
Yeah.
If you could say it one more time, so they can really grasp what you're saying, that you are still You work for Lids. You are under Lids, the biggest
But it
entity.
says a lot about. But it also says a lot about Lids because they let me do it because they could
Yeah,
easily
exactly.
have said, "Hey man, you can't do this," but
Yeah.
they understand the importance of culture and community with this thing.
Yeah.
And I also understand that this community needs to be rebuilt. Now, it still exists, but it needs to be rebuilt.
Absolutely.
It needs to be built around because honestly, man, I got a little tired of some of this community stuff too. Because all you're hearing is all this whining and crying about this and that. And after a while, it's like, all right, man, you need to refresh it. You don't need to get rid of people. You just need to implement more positive people. But to answer your question, it was a series of moments that did it. Now, what drives me is I'm a driven person.
Yeah.
There's no other way to explain it. I love headwear. I love logos. I love sports. I love pop culture. And I'm a driven human being. So even when we're done with this call, I'll go downstairs, I'll be watching a football game. I'm still thinking about colorways in my head. I'm still looking at people in the stadium. I'm still looking at commercials.
Seeing what's popping, what people's eyes are on.
Looking around, trying to figure out what's next.
See,
so I would not want to compete with me.
Yeah. So Cat Master Flash said this. He's in the chat now, and we were literally talking about the episode with you today, and he was just like, "You're the embodiment of someone that's turned a lifestyle and a hobby into a job."
Mm-hmm.
Literally,
you are the embodiment of that.
Literally,
yeah. But I'm also ultra competitive. I'm a competitor, and like I said, I would not want to compete against me.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
I'm not certain the average person understands the level of dedication and focus I have to what I'm trying to do right now. And I don't know if someone could have more. So if I were competing against me, I would be extremely worried.
Yeah.
Because I'm always worried about who I'm competing against, because if they're as focused as I am, there's a chance that they could knock me off. Yeah. And I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but
no, yeah, I mean, I play football and baseball, and that's something you gotta have, that instinct of you gotta watch that blind side. Yeah, you really gotta have that sensor on to feel that right there and be able to, yeah. And I understand the metaphor that you're going with.
And I think at the end of the day, man, I have the ability to do a lot of cool things at Lids that I didn't have at Toppers. I didn't have that ability at Topper Store. We had ability there. Topper Store is great for what it is. But the power of Lids is a little bit different. It's different.
Go through that catalog and having no restrictions, I bet is
no. I have restrictions, right? But it's not the same restrictions, and the resources I'm provided are different.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So
I'm sure you're able to sit in a table and say, "Hey, can you think?" I mean, maybe you guys have a quarterly meeting where you sit down and you're like, "Hey, I want to be able to try different fabrics. You think we can bring these?"
Hold on. Well, let me tell you this. I don't. All right, so I'll say this, right? So this is what's cool about Lids is I don't have those restrictions. So if I'm allowed to do, and listen, but that comes at a cost, man. Because if you mess up, I'm sure the grip gets a little tighter. No, you can't try that next time. So that's why I'm very calculated and very deliberate in the decisions I make, because I treat it like it's my own business. And I do that because I don't want those restrictions placed on me.
No, of course.
Yeah. And I'm sure, listen, no one's told me that would happen, but I'm sure if I suddenly said, I'm going all in on this weird Melton wool fabric, and we're going to order 60,000 pieces of this, and it fails, yeah, I would fully expect to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
the humbleness. That's also to the statement that you said earlier. That's also being grounded and being humble enough to understand, all right, just because I'm such and such doesn't mean I'm just gonna go all out and expect it to do well.
No, listen, man, there's got to be a mix, dude. And the way I look at it, right, is 20% you have to push the envelope, 80% have to pay the bills. And I think like if you're doing that, and then that 20%, a lot of times half of it becomes something that pays the bills. And I think if you're using that mantra and that sort of guiding principle, you're going to be okay because, if 20% of it's pushing the envelope and taking risks, I mean, that's a good chunk of the business you can take risk with. But you're also knowing that 10%, half of that's going to work, So now you're at 90%, and you're like, all right, we're in a good place. But you have to be smart about what you do. And you guys are going to see some stuff where I push the envelope coming up soon. And it's cool stuff, man. I mean, this is cool stuff. But it's in that 20% to 80% ratio where it's very smart. It's not going to kill us. It's not going to put me in the unemployment line.
Yeah.
It's going to create energy. It's going to create debate. It's going to create talk. It's going to create some really good moments.
I look forward to it. I'll be cheering from over here, and keeping an eye on seeing
we're the assisters for Rob over here, just because he's over there in the UK. But he keeps up, man. That man stays up to 1 o'clock in the morning. He makes sure he finds what he wants.
Yeah,
he ships it out to us, and then we'll send it over to him. Because
I've watched Fusion Default quite a lot. I do stay up quite often, and I watch things. I watch all the live streams I can. There's a number of us over here in the UK, and we're all planning a trip to New York next year in April. So we're all going over there and stuff like that. And we just try and keep up as much as we can over here. So
and if when you guys are out here, you guys can find me, and I'll head out there and spend some time with you guys. It's just listen, I think I want to thank you guys for the time. And I want you guys to remember, I really do love this stuff, man. Like, you guys, you're going to hear folks out there that misrepresent me at times, and just understand, like, the cool thing about me is you always get an honest answer from me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to listen to what, like, you don't have this weirdo from the block said about me, because you can just ask me. I'll tell you the truth. So, like, the thing I've always done is with these people that like to cast aspersions or say this about me or say that about me, just come ask me if you want to know what I'm thinking or what I'm doing. And you know what? When I say I don't like your hat, I don't like your hat. That's it.
Yeah.
Get over it. That's life.
Hey, listen, we have 3 words that we use, right? We use Goya, Ghoulie, and Gabagool. The Ghoulie meaning, like, bro, you got shot. You feel me? You play Call of Duty, right? You got shot. What happens? You respawn. You was in the Ghoulie. Now you
try again.
Come back around next week and see what you put out. Simple as that, bro. You can't be sensitive about it, man.
Yeah, listen, man. I think I grew up in a different generation. I didn't receive participation trophies.
It was a win, baby.
My parents really, really loved me and cared about me. Expected the best for me. I expected the best for myself. And I don't want a pat on the back if I did something bad. I want to be told that I want people to be honest with me, tell me their opinions. Yeah. And as long as it's framed in a positive way, it's always going to be received well. But if you go down this negative route and you start, like, you talk real negatively and stuff, who wants to hear that, man? Just be constructive about it. Now, I will say this about my show. It is very polarizing, but it's meant to be. Nobody's going to watch if you're just going to say, and you're just going to report the news. They're not going to watch. Yeah. They want to hear your opinions. They want to hear some controversial stuff. And that's part of what I do. But I do want to thank you guys for having me on. I do have to take off now because it's time for the page.
Yeah. I mean, last thing I want to ask you, any final advice for the next wave of creators and designers, and hopefully before the show ends, what do you have coming up next?
Stay grounded. Make sure that you're really passionate about what you're doing. If you're not, don't do it. And listen, man, at the end of the day, be open to critical feedback. It's not all about validation. Sometimes critical feedback's important. What's next for me is, like, you're just gonna have to stay tuned because there's so much I can't even describe it.
We love it, man.
Love it.
All right. Thank you, Pierre, for coming on the show, taking the time out of your day to be able to be here, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
All the questions answered, man.
All right, see you guys.
Yes, sir.
See that, man.
Alrighty, brother.
Bye.
Alrighty, everybody. That was wow, man. I mean, it was Pierre, bro. I hope that he gave y'all the answers that you guys don't really hear or and definitely, as you saw, man, like, Pierre is definitely one of those people that have helped build this community, and y'all see how humble the man is. The man is humble. The man is honest. The man has like he's a respectable person, bro. He really is, and I just hope that y'all can take stuff away from this and apply it to yourselves. You know, that's why I do this show. That's why I like to be a part of this, and I created this because like I just want to learn from those type of people, and I hope that this helps you learn from those people as well. You got any words for the people, Rob?
Sorry for being late. I apologize for that. So I jumped on as much as I can. And I think for me, still learning about the scene, it's very much like I've heard multiple, like he said, you know, different things about he knows that people talk about him. He knows that people have said things, but he's where he's at. He's, you know, the head of the ship of one of the biggest companies in the States, in the world, selling hats. I don't think he got there by accident. You know, he obviously got there by knowledge, experience, etc. He may say things people don't like, but then at the end of the day, everyone says things people don't like. We've all got situations. So, but I just want to say thank you to people tuning in. Cap, Ills, Mad Fitted, Fly Master, and more. Appreciate you guys, and more if I've missed them. But yeah.
Yeah, M dot is on there. Yeah, man. People, we gave y'all a show a little bit earlier, but it's the Keep It Being podcast. I am your host, always gonna eat. You feel me? And we're gonna keep being positive. We're gonna keep pushing the envelope. We're gonna keep bringing y'all great interviews on Sundays. Stay tuned on Wednesday for Keep It Being en Español alongside my brother Cabrera, and we're gonna hold on. Let me show y'all a little message Mr. Ills got. Mr. Illside, always be positive and do it for the right reasons. Give love and respect to this community. Y'all heard it, man. Y'all be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all next Sunday. You'll see me again this Wednesday. Y'all have a good one.